Hi, my friends. Okay, this is a video over fear. It seems like that's where we're living right now. We're living in a time period where fear has gripped our heart, and even terror is knocking at our doorstep. And I need for you to know right now, if you belong to Jesus, this is not your portion. The Lord said that I have not given you the spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. And so the portion of the wicked is fear. The portion of the godly is faith. And so our portion is to have peace in the midst of any circumstance, to not be afraid of the arrow that flies by day or the pestilence, to not be afraid of those things. But how do we get fear out of our heart? Because this is something that is like real. I mean, you can look at there and you can say, oh, well, don't be afraid. But this is something that's a part of a lot of people's everyday life. And so how do we deal with the fear that's inside of us? And this is what I have found, is that first of all, you come in and you have to give the fear to God. Turn your heart towards Jesus, open your heart wide, and you tell him, God, please forgive me. I'm guilty of allowing fear into my heart. I'm guilty of believing a lie. Would you please forgive me for being afraid? And so then at that point, once you say, I'm guilty, fear should leave. Now, let me tell you what happened to my little grandson, little 10-year-old grandson was here, and fear has been his enemy nearly from the time he was born. Anyway, and so fear came this night, probably a year ago, and he's like, Big Ma, the windows, go shut that door, go and stuff. And I turned him, I said, Cademan, face Jesus right now and open your heart wide and tell him that you are guilty of being afraid. Would you tell him that? And so he did. And I turned to my grandson and I said, now tell me, did fear leave? And he said, no. And I said, then you command it to leave in Jesus' name. And so he said, I command you to leave in Jesus' name. And I said, okay, now did fear leave your heart? And he said, yes, it did. But what if it comes back? I'm like, okay. He's on the beginning end of spiritual warfare. There are certain things that have no right. Fear has no right, no legitimate claim in your life if you put it under the blood. So first of all, I deal with the fear. Now you have to go to the source of the fear. What is it that is making you afraid? And sometimes it's that you don't trust God, that you hate being out of control. There's 100 things that it could be. But when God brings to your mind what it is that's making you afraid, you turn your heart towards Jesus and you open your heart wide and you say, God, I'm guilty of trying to control the situations. Would you please forgive me? Or God, I am guilty of not believing and trusting that you can take care of me. I am so sorry. Would you forgive me? The minute that you go to God in this way and you give your fears, your doubts, your insecurities to him, then he washes us with his blood. He cleanses us from all unrighteousness, and the fear leaves. Now, if you've lived with fear for a long time, this is a battle that has just begun, because fear is over your shoulder. Long as you're looking at Jesus with your heart wide open, you're doing good. But the minute you turn just a little bit, it's right there. And so it's a battle that you have to fight and win. And this is what it says. It says, if you submit to God and you resist the enemy, the spirit of fear. He has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and a sound mind. If we resist the enemy, We submit to God, we resist the enemy, he has to flee. So when you do this enough, that enemy that is over your shoulder will finally quit coming around because he can't get in. Let me tell you another thing. If he gets in, fear's in your heart again, go to Jesus and just say, I'm guilty again. Would you forgive me? And again, he washes you clean. That fear leaves. You're right with God once again, and peace rules your life. Now, let me tell you, we have to get rid of this one because in the coming days, it's going to escalate. And so it won't just be worry and fear. It will be terror because it is written. So now let's get it done right now while it's still easy. Well, such as it is. Anyway, blessings, my friend. May power and love and a sound mind come and take control of your heart. I ask this in Jesus' name.